What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the data points, latest and updates, and everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound is up 0.83%. 1477 the low, 1564 the high. So during the pre-market, things were looking pretty a-okay. It was up like 3+%, largely piggybacking off of that Intel Nvidia kind of hype and blockbuster deal that came out early this morning. But as per usual, once the market does open, you have it tank. And it looks like these individuals right here were the culprits on why it did get dragged down. So there was a large one that kind of led the pack. So 5.43 million. So why institutions do that, I'm not really sure. I do believe it is most likely linked to options. So quickly popping over here, currently 55% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. And this is exactly what does happen. You have individuals buy puts very fast and then they sell their position. That way their puts do appreciate. Definitely a lot of manipulation going on with SoundHound, but I'll kind of go over a lot of this in depth throughout this video. Today we did have some pretty good data, initial jobless claims, as well as the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, both coming in better than anticipated. So this is again piggybacking off of that Intel Nvidia deal. Specific to SoundHound though, there hasn't really been that much in news. No SEC filings on social media. They posted this and it's okay. They posted this yesterday, so prompting people to download, looks like a little bit more of a flyer or advertisement. And yeah, it's okay. And I think in general, this is my biggest issue with SoundHound. I really like the product and everything, but they just have social media backwards, right? So there's a lot of companies out there where the social medias are more oriented and they have a target audience as shareholders, such as Open Door. We see a lot of them, even most recently as well. Another comparable to SoundHound is Resolve AI. If you look at their social media, it is literally just pretty much speaking to investors and shareholders, whereas what SoundHound does, it's more oriented towards customers. So in my opinion, if I was, let's say, I don't know, McDonald's or someone else, doesn't really matter who, I'm not going to go on to SoundHound social media and be, hey, I'm going to download this and read on why I need to hire them. Like, it just doesn't make sense in my opinion. So I think just their social media is completely backwards. But like I said, I do really like the product and everything else. And analysts, I think, are starting to warm up. Got a new rating yesterday, $18 buy, H.C. Wainwright. Scott, who has a 33% success rating, so not all that great. But nonetheless, though, hopefully they do change this dynamic. And it's nothing against them, of course. So SoundHound can still go to their conferences. These types of events, very much oriented towards customers, whereas social media overall should be left for investors. So I think that's just my little bit of a pet peeve with them. And for those of you that have been watching my SoundHound videos, you'd know I've been stating that. When it comes to shorts, they are right now returning about 15,000 shares. 33.62% of the free float being shorted, works out to be 122 million shares. So when it comes down to shorts, they are still inches away from 52-week highs. And I've covered quite a few stocks that were heavily shorted at one point, such as SoFi, NEO, and a couple others. And in a lot of those cases, their actual operational kind of progress has developed more and more, and thus shorts kind of left. With SoundHound, doesn't matter based on their last earnings, and doesn't matter based on, I guess, SoundHound at the last fireside chat saying, hey, Q3 is going to be pretty much, if not better than Q2, shorts still linger. So I don't know what is going on with SoundHound. So you get multiple different angles of manipulation. As I brought up, you have institutions selling and buying puts, so it kind of goes hand in hand for that. And then you have shorts still lingering. So I don't really know what it'll take. Hopefully their upcoming earnings is just going to be a massive, massive banger. This way it'll be a big FU to a lot of the shorts, and that way they can finally get the hell out and stay out. Because if you think about it, way back in, looks like beginning of 2025, short interest at one time was 24%, and still generally that's very, very high. So When it comes down to SoundHound, the reason why it is at these levels and not significantly higher is because of just straight up manipulation. Looking at the options, 4.23 million in calls, 287,000 in puts, 55% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. And like I said, most of that is just a lot of manipulation first thing, a lot of puts being purchased. From a bull standpoint though, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $16 range by the end of this week. So by tomorrow, bears are anticipating for it to be sub 1450. With tomorrow being Friday, this is the open interest. So you have 18,000 at that 15, 12,000 at that 1550, and then 15,000 at that 6. So best case scenario, SoundHound does close above 16, and thus causing a little bit more of a gamma squeeze. Aside from this string of selling, you saw a lot of buying going on, so this is what's starting to kind of redeem it and start to push it higher. A lot of transactions already on the dark pool. Dark pool is often enough used by hedge funds as well as shorts, but like I mentioned, shorts aren't really doing that much, so it goes to show hedge funds are buying in. So ever since the sell-off, it looks like things started to really heat up. Good to see. With it right now at 1536, it is trading between this R2 and this R1, so 1514 is going to be that strong support, followed by 1452. I don't see that 1452 being touched in the foreseeable future, because if you think about it, based on what Powell mentioned yesterday, so we got our 25 basis point cut, also alluded to 50 basis points in 2025, and there's only 2 meetings left. So this is why the market has automatically started to assume for the December 10th and also October 29th, we're going to have 25 basis points each. So given that, I don't really see the market really dropping whatsoever. So when it comes down to it, that I don't see this being touched. But again, just kind of take note of that. 1514 will be that key point to really watch for today, and then 1552 is going to be the next strong target. And it did actually break above that momentarily, just once the market did open, just it got dragged down. So this is going to be kind of the point to watch for today. Aside from all of that fun stuff quickly popping over here, you see things still heating up. So despite the crazy volatility, it is above that 10-day moving average. So still a lot of good momentum behind the scenes. And yeah, honestly, I do feel in the short term, we're going to see a retest of that $17 range. And then dependent on kind of the data at the time and everything, then you could see a push higher. And even just quickly going over here, looking at the weekly chart, if I told you this stock right here is like 35% short interest and everything else, like that, this doesn't look like a stock that's 35% short interest and very heavily shorted, very heavily manipulated. So I think SoundHound is doing very well given the circumstances of everything. Looking at the market position, you see a lot of willing buyers. So last time I did bring this up was similar to kind of September, beginning of September, when it was at that $12, $13 range. And I did videos saying, hey, get ready, we are on the verge of a breakout. And technically right now you see a small wall of sellers right here, and then aside from that, it is ready to rocket higher. So again, don't be surprised if you see the $16 range even today, possibly tomorrow, and then 17 onwards from there. Aside from that, there hasn't really been that much in actual news or articles talking about SoundHound. Algos have been a little bit more tame, at least for today, but nonetheless, I think SoundHound's making a lot of good strides. The most recent analyst rating, which was from 𝗖𝗎𝗓𝗓, definitely very welcomed. And I feel once their next earnings does conclude, which hasn't been announced yet on a side note, that is where you'll really see a significant push higher. So let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Are you buying? Are you selling? What's your general thoughts on SoundHound? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, so worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.